Hello everybody, welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and today I'm absolutely, the Australian word, stoked. I'm absolutely stoked to introduce to you someone whose story is going to hit you right in the heart. Eric Bailey, a bloke who's lived multiple lives in one. Now, if you love basketball like I do, you're going to appreciate this one. Eric shared the court with Australian legend Andrew Gaze, played alongside my former guest and good friend Warwick Giddy, that's Josh Giddy's dad who currently plays for the Chicago Bulls, and from Melbourne United, by the way, and knows Wayne Peterson. Warwick played for Melbourne United, by the way, and so did Eric. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Wayne Peterson is the voice of Melbourne, also a former guest of mine, believe it or not. But here's where it gets real, folks. Eric's journey started with being given up by his biological parents, navigating abandonment issues that would shape his entire life. From the hardwood to the heartache, from the highs of professional sport to the lows of questioning where you belong. This conversation about resilience, identity, and finding your own way certainly is all of those and so much more. Let's dive into part one of part two this week with Eric. Please enjoy the episode. Please give us a share. Please do what you can to help spread the love. Anyway, here's Eric and myself right after the trailer. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Before we dive in, I want to give a big, massive shout out to our now new proud sponsor, Eshu Skincare, a brand that truly aligns with Leading Our Own Way. This Australian-born company is dedicated to keeping skincare simple, effective, and straightforward. They've made waves in the US, even landed in Macy's and over 300 stores, and now they're back with a renewed focus on healthy skin and real results. If you want authentic skincare that fits your lifestyle, check them out in the show notes. Thanks to Eshu Skincare for supporting real stories and mental fitness on Leading Our Own Way. And if you're interested in sponsoring like Eshu Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to connect. Eric, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say your state of mental health is right now?
I have to be honest. I think my state is at an all-time high. I would have to say 10 plus.
Love it.
10
We're
plus.
going to get into why in a moment, but Eric Bailey, thank you for joining me on Leading Our Own Way. Such a pleasure to have you here. How are you this evening?
I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited about speaking to you. We've touched on a few things, you know, basketball wise, life wise, and I'm ready to rock and roll with you, my friend.
Beautiful. Me too. And you know, I'm glad you brought up basketball because basketball has been a huge part of my life for the last 35 years. I've had a few guests on Leading Our Own Way. It's not a basketball podcast. It's not, but I've ventured into having some basketball players, and Mr. Warwick Giddy and Wayne Peterson from Melbourne United, and a few former teammates of mine, a guy that used to play with Steph Curry, Andrew Lovedale, on the show from Davidson College, and now you've joined the family, Eric.
Well, thank you. Happy to be, and I guess one of the family members is Warwick Giddy. I actually played with Warwick with the Melbourne Tigers when I played with Andrew and Dave Simmons and Dave Colbert and Andrew and Ray Gordon back in the late 80s. I was a shooting guard with the Melbourne Tigers.
Love that. Yeah, down here in Melbourne and currently based in Brisbane, right?
Yep, in Brisbane, yes.
And it's currently hot right now. So we're filming in the evening. I'm an hour ahead of Eric, but to everybody who's listening, Melbourne's been pretty cold today at 16. Yesterday was 31, but you're sitting at 31 today, right? This evening.
And it is 7:48 p.m. It is hosting outside. It's hot.
Before we get into your journey then, Eric, tell us, you said 10 plus on your mental health. Why 10 plus?
I think 10 plus because when I wake up every day, I actually understand that I'm living my purpose. And because I'm living my purpose, none of the outside noise creeps into my daily thoughts or into my daily actions or my daily planning. The noise doesn't affect me and mess with my emotions because I'm, living my purpose. I don't get caught up in the past of things that have happened or people have said. I'm positive. And the other thing about it is I'm just so grateful for every day that I can take the negativity and I can take the obstacles that come that day and just go, hey, you know what? You've been through a lot worse than that and you've made it through. So because of all of that, I just feel good.
Love to hear that, Eric. And I was going to ask actually, but you've just summed that up. For you to say all of that, some of those things that you listed off, did you suffer quite severely with, negative thoughts, comments, people coming your way, toxic environments, whatever it may be? And I know we're going to venture into your journey in today's episode, but was it quite heavy for you?
Very heavy. From day one when I actually came into the world. And I was diagnosed with a bone disease, and my biological parents decided that it was just going to take too much of their emotional, financial, and physical energy to care for a child like mine. So they put me up for adoption, and it never came back. So from a very early age, I actually suffered with abandonment issues. And then when I was adopted, lived in a really tough neighborhood. I had very bad knees. I was picked on at school by doctors. No one actually thought that I would amount to anything. So I had low self-esteem. And so throughout my life, I've always had to kind of shove that feeling in the background whenever there was rejection, trying out for a basketball team and getting cut from the team or failing the exam or talking to a girl, yo, baby, what's up? How you doing? And she goes, ooh, you're ugly. Or, that whole thing, that the rejection over and over and over and over again, it was just so hard. So it has been tough, but I've learned to cope and deal. And now I'm thriving in it because I realize now everything that I went through leads me to my purpose, which is now to help other people who don't have the strength, don't have the skills, and just don't have the people around them to lift them up. And so that's my purpose now.
Love that. Yeah, you've certainly turned your pain into purpose. And if anyone's going to stick around, they're certainly going to stick around for this episode now, because everything you've just mentioned has certainly hooked me into wanting to know deeper about your journey. So let's start with how you're leading your own way currently. I start here because obviously, hence the podcast name, Leading Our Own Way. It's a beautiful way to start. How would you consider then, Eric, how do you lead your day in the present moment?
Well, I basically have two roles. So I'm a global motivational speaker, and I walk into boardrooms, event halls, and actually talk to people about resilience, about purpose and passion. That's one side of my life. The other side is I'm the CEO of NLR, which is a restoration company, and 100 staff, and we go out and we help people who have been affected by floods, mold, cyclones, fire, and we help them to get them back in their homes in a safe environment. So every day I'm leading men and women to go in and make a difference and restore hope in the lives of people who maybe have been waiting for an insurance company to pay, to get them back in for maybe 2 or 3 years, or, help a family who's got mold in the house and can't get rid of it and always getting sick. So I'm in the restoration business of the corporate world and in the restoration business of those who need hope to hang on until we can actually get the job done. So I think I'm leading in two areas of life.
You certainly are, yeah. Let's dig into those for a time being. Then let's talk about Eric Bailey Global. Yeah. Let's go there. You brought up the word resilience, something that I talk about quite a lot. I do think resilience is quite low at the moment. I work with children, and I feel like it's at an all-time low. What is resilience to you then, Eric? What's the definition of resilience for you?
I think the definition of resilience for me is having the attitude to understand that there will be dark days. Mm-hmm. And because there are dark days, look forward for defeating the darkness with light that you can provide to yourself and to other people around you. So, coming from South Central Los Angeles, so much darkness, so much negativity. I had to find a way to be resilient enough to look at what I was going through and actually saying, I am going to turn these obstacles into an opportunity. Resilience is being able to turn negativity, turn challenges, turn pitfalls, turn that into an opportunity where you can elevate your life and the people around you. And so, resilience for me each day is getting up every day and embracing that I have an opportunity today to change someone's life. And that's powerful. And I don't care if you're a CEO, you're a director, a sales manager, an HR manager, no matter what your title, you are in a position to help someone else. But before you can do that, you have to have the power and the passion within yourself to realize that you were put on this planet to do something more than just be average. Average thinking produces average results. So with me, it's like, I have to do it. I have to do it. I have a saying that I say to everyone is be memorable. Don't just show up, show out. Leave your mark, leave your imprint in everything that you do. And by doing that, legacy building, baby, legacy building. You have kids at home, let them see you stepping up. Let them see you making the most out of every opportunity. That's what resilience is.
Absolutely. Resilience is about being uncomfortable with getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Like I had no business at all. Me, with bad knees, doctors saying I'll never play sport. I had no business graduating from high school, going to college, playing professional basketball. I had no business becoming a motivational speaker. I didn't graduate from college. I was very bad in reading. I had no business stepping into a CEO role of a restoration company, and I didn't even know what dehumidifier was or any of the machine. I had no business doing any of that, but I wanted to be uncomfortable enough to go in and admit, I don't know, but I will learn. And because of that, this is a result of that.
Yeah. I think I saw a picture of you on your WhatsApp, your logo. I think you had a picture of a brain in there.
Yeah.
Do you talk about the brain and how it works then in order to help people understand at a deeper level? Oh, yeah, nice. Because I love, as you can see, the books around me. I've got a lot of brain books.
You're a reader, man. You are a reader.
I've not read them all.
I'm a video man. I like videos.
Me too. And podcasts. I do listen to a lot of brain podcasts and human physiologist podcasts as well. But yeah, I've not fully read all of these. I said to another Amelia Phillips, who's on the Today Show, I interviewed her a few months ago. Her episode went out a few weeks ago. However, I said, there's parts of these books that I don't understand, so then I'd have to leave that one to go to another book to read deeper there. So it's like I'm going back and forth like a puzzle to really understand this at a deeper level. I love talking about resilience. I do think we need to allow our children to struggle in a safe way in order to build resilience, because a lot of schools out there talk about resilience as a journey, and they really don't do it as a journey. It's the points that they're making isn't the journey. It's about what resilience is, but you can't get to resilience without allowing these children to struggle. I mean, an example would be, I can't find a pencil. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? I'm not going to give you one. You go and figure it out.
Yeah.
There's little micro moments and little snippets to help build their resilience to go up. One day, I keep saying to them, one day there's a job you're going to go for and you're not going to get it. It's okay to be down about it, but it can't stop you.
No.
It can't define who you are, and then you go into deep depression because you didn't get that job. We've got to allow these kids to safely struggle. Build some hardiness. It's fascinating. So you go to public events, conferences to talk around cultural leadership as well. Is that part of your global?
Yeah. So one of the things that I get booked for probably the most is talking about my topic, which is championship DNA. And I coined that from sport. So what I did was I looked at the most successful teams, whether it be football or basketball or baseball, teams that have won multiple championships. And I looked at what do they all have in common, and I take that and then I turn that into a presentation for corporates. And I have my own characteristics, and I normally start talking about, okay, what's one of the things that all championship teams actually have? Like, what do they practice the most? And probably the top one is got to be culture. It's got to be the culture, and the culture starts where? At the top. The culture starts at the top. So that's probably the first C that I start talking about. And then we filter down from culture then to communication. How do you communicate that culture down to the rest of the team? So then you have your culture, you have your communication, and then I talk about being very consistent. So we talk about, what will it take for you as an individual? What will it take for you as your organization to arrive at a championship level? What's a championship level? That's decided by the organization. So championships, you don't actually have to be number one, but you have to be better this year than you were last year. That's what champions do. That's what champion organization, that's what champion people do. To always strive to be better tomorrow than you were today. And that's sort of what my championship DNA presentation and workshops are all about. And I challenge people in the room to actually think about it within their lives, like the culture that you have around your life. Who's in your life? Who's in your life that shouldn't be in your life? And when I'm working with teenagers, particularly sports kids, I talk about, okay, like where is your biggest influence coming from? Is it coming from the Instagram or Facebook? Are you trying to compare yourself to what you're seeing on there? Do you have people in your network who are telling you what you need to hear, not the things that you want to hear? Accountability for the actions that you take. So for me, that's what got me to where I am today.
What type of businesses would seek your advice then? What companies come to you?
Major like sales, insurance, the real estate. Normally, companies that have a centered focus on improving the bottom line, improving their results, improving peak performance. Because I do talk a lot about sport athletes and how they're wired. Being able to take rejections, practice, consistency in their actions, and all the kind of things that make you a well-rounded athlete. So, yeah.
Being a good human, right? Being a good leader.
Oh, yeah.
Being a human with the people that you work with is super important, isn't it? I find a lot of leaders, corporate world, health industries, education, which I've worked in most of my life. They just try and wring that, like Simon Sinek would say, you're like wringing the towel, trying to get as much out of your staff and wearing them thin. And you wonder why people are leaving the workplace over and over again because they're not meeting targets, or if they are, you've done it at cost of the employees within it. Is that the type of vibe that you get in some of these work organizations that you try and help?
Yeah, so at NLR, one of the things that I actually brought in to our company was giving every single person in our organization their own private succession plan. So whether it be the operations manager, or whether it be the warehouse manager, or whether it be one of the operations people, I sat down with every person and said, right, what is your plan? Where would you like to see yourself in 12 months, 24 months, and have a plan in place so that now they are working for something that they can actually consider it to be their own. And so by doing that, giving them ownership in the direction of the company and also ownership in their own direction for where they want to go. And of course, we throw in so many fun things like we've got a basketball hoop that's in the warehouse. And on Wednesday mornings we have a toolbox, and 6:30 they line up and they have 3-point shootouts against me. And anybody that can beat me will get a box of Krispy Kreme donuts. So we do a lot of fun things to get everybody engaged.
Love that. That's amazing.
And
I
of
want to come.
course, and of course, I don't let anybody win. You know that, don't you? I don't let anybody win. So I make them go and practice. Another thing we do is if you are late for a meeting, if you're late for a meeting, for every minute that you're late, you have to do 5 push-ups.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, yeah. So you can like see our owners running to get in the door. Like it's an environment where people want to stay because they feel like they're a family.
Amazing. So obviously they feel like it's a safe place to be vulnerable, right, and get things wrong and make mistakes. That's super important too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you think about it. You in a basketball game, a player throws the ball away. What's the worst thing that you can do is run down as a coach, run at him and yell and scream at he or she because they made a turnover. It's like, It's okay, baby. That's all right. Next time, take care of the ball. That's the same thing that we should be doing in an organization, is allowing people to make mistakes, talking to them if they're making the same mistake over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But when they clean up that mistake, applaud them.
Absolutely.
So I think it's too much bad coaching being done in organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's part of my journey, isn't it? I mentioned to you last time about the workplace bullying at such a deep level and more toxic environments, and that's why I was out. It may be a 5% of reason of why this podcast exists is down to that cultural environment on most of the places I've ever worked, mate, to be fair. So it's just, when it comes at a cost to yourself, it just isn't worth it, is it? It just really isn't.
No.
So Eric, you've got a show called the Eric Bailey Show as well on YouTube.
Yeah, I do. I've got a YouTube, and I have to be honest, and I'm not consistent with my show, and it's only because look, I'm not even making excuses. I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm not consistent, and I should drop down right now and do 25 push-ups. But when I do I'm happy. I'm locked in.
Nice. I'll put the link in the show notes anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, man. I'm here to promote Eric Bailey and the businesses too. I mean, if I can help, that is. I don't know how many people are really tuning in.
Okay.
I'm joking.
I'm sure once this goes live, there'll be a lot of people who will be able to take some nuggets away from this.
Just taking a very quick break to thank our sponsor, SU Skincare. If you haven't heard of them, SU Skincare started right here in Australia, using Australian ingredients to make skincare straightforward and accessible, especially for men who want results without the fuss. Their journey took them all the way to the US, where they were featured in Macy's and over 300 stores. Now they're back with a fresh approach, focusing on healthy skin and authenticity for everyone. I'm proud to have SU Skincare as a sponsor on Leading Our Own Way. See the show notes for their website and to see how you can keep your skin healthy and confident. And if you're interested in sponsoring like SU Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Now, right back to the episode. So with NRL, let's go into that then. NRL, I think it's a beautiful concept. You went in there, as you mentioned before, a bit blindfolded, I guess. You didn't really know much about it. First of all, why did you go into that area?
Okay, so the owners I have known for 20 years. I actually coached their kids 20 years ago, and and lost touch. And I was at church one Sunday morning and got tapped on the shoulder and turned around and the face was familiar. We started talking and he said, "Listen, I've been sort of following you on LinkedIn. I see that you've been working with companies. I've got this company and we sort of need a little bit of help. Would you mind coming in and, having a look?" And I said, "Sure." So I went in and did my thing and identified some trouble areas and relayed that to him. And, he asked me as a consultant to come back and do some workshops and help him get going. And so I did that. And 3 months later, then he said, "Listen, we've seen noticeable improvement within our organization. Would you be interested in becoming a CEO?" And I was like, "Well, that means that's a full-time job." Full-time job. And I wasn't ready for a full-time job, but sat down with my daughter and a couple of my really good friends and just had a chat about it. And the one thing that came from it was for 32 years, I'd been, I was a hired gun. Companies all over the world would hire me to come in and spend a week, spend a month, spend an hour, spend a half day, spend a day trying to align their values, their purpose, and running my championship programs. And then I'm off to the next. And really, it takes more than just one session or 3 sessions or a week of sessions to actually make a difference. And here I'm given an opportunity to have a company who is basically saying to me, "We'd like for you to turn our entire business around. We want you to take us from 6 million to 30 million in revenue." And so I, the concept, the thought of being able to be positioned in one spot to turn something around at age 64, it just doesn't get any better than that. And
Yeah, mate.
they also said, "We love what you do. We still, don't mind if you still go out and still take some bookings and do some speaking, because one thing, it keeps you within your passion, but also it also elevates our company, because there are going to be companies that you would be able to go in and be an ambassador for us." And it gets better. It gets better.
Oh,
They said, "And we would like for you to identify some sporting groups that we can get associated with." So I was able to negotiate a deal with the Brisbane Lions. We've got a corporate box. And also with the Brisbane Bullets, we've got a corporate box. So how about that, man? I'm the CEO. I've got corporate boxes. I can still speak. And now I've got an organization that I can call home, and it's my family. It just doesn't get better than that.
love that. I can see why you're in 10 plus on mental state scale now.
Seriously, man. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Well, anytime I come to Brisbane, I want to come and sit in the box with you,
Oh, for
please, at the
sure.
Bullets game.
So if you come during the summer, you can come to a basketball game.
Yeah.
If you come during the winter, you can come to a Lions game.
Beautiful. Love that.
Gotcha.
So you did mention it earlier, but just quickly then, what type of things you seem to be helping a lot of people with in RL? You did mention fire, floods, and all of that. What type of? Give me a typical scenario then where NRL will step in.
Okay, so we had Cyclone Alfred early in the year, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who had water damage. And so we have about 25 vans. So we go out to these homes, these business sites, these hotels, these hospitals, childcare centers where the rain has come in. We do what we call a make safe, which is we put all our equipment in these to help dry it all out. We make it all safe. And then the builders will come in, and the builders will do what they have to do. And then we come back, and then we can remove the mold. We can take the contents out that have been affected. We have one of the largest storage facilities in Queensland, where we can take the molded furniture or books or clothing or whatever. We can clean that, and we store it at our facilities until they can move back in the house. We can bring that back in. We have our own laboratory where we can test to find out, what type of chemicals or what types of germs or anything that's in the home. So we make the home safe for the family to move back in. So same thing with a fire. We go in and we can remove all the soot. We can clean it all up. So we have builders, we have chemists, we have everything that a home or construction or hospital would need to make their place habitable for them to get back in.
Yeah, wow. I bet you've seen some terrible scenarios,
Yeah,
haven't you? There, wow.
yeah. And the other thing is that sometimes the insurance companies don't pay out uh, very fast. So some of these people have to live like in one room of their house because they're waiting for the insurance companies to pay. So we can go out and we can contain an area. We can give them equipment to keep mold from getting into the rest of the house. We just our team just does amazing things.
Wow. Absolutely incredible. I bet there's no regret getting involved in that company that
Oh
came
no, not
knocking
at
on the
all.
door.
No, and the testimonials that come through, people are just so blown away by the efficiency and the professionalism, and and the technology that we have. We have over 1.5 million dollars worth of equipment at our disposal in our warehouse.
Amazing. Wow. Unbelievable. Good
Mm,
on you, Eric. I love it.
thanks.
I'll put everything in the show notes to help connect and take people to the websites if
Yeah,
I can help in any sort of way. Absolutely, I'd love to.
thank you.
Um, of course, we are going to get into your journey of why this all comes together. It's your purpose is definitely coming very, very clear to me. Where your 10 plus on the scale doesn't come very easily. This takes time. We can sit here and go, we're amazing, we're feeling great, we're whatever, but it goes on one hell of a journey to maintain that every single day. And like you said before, being prepared for the time when things go slightly wrong. Sometimes we have to climb a mountain and then we look over that mountain and shit, there's a bigger mountain in the distance. Do you morning routines tend to come up in this conversation? How do you set yourself up every day to have a successful, happy, contented day?
My my routine starts the night before.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So I do a personal debrief, probably around 6:30 every single night, where I just revisit what worked, what didn't work. I do a lot of journaling,
Yeah.
and so this book here, every night I will do my notes, and I go through it and sort of declog my mind so I'm not sleeping on it.
Yeah. Love that.
And by doing it, I go to bed feeling accomplished. So I'm now looking forward to the next day. And so the next morning, so every morning I get up at 4:30,
Wow.
and 4:30 I do some planking, squats, some push-ups, some sit-ups, say my prayers, and my day will start. And my drive into work, most of the time I will listen to just some Earth, Wind, and Fire, some Cool in the Gang, just to get the endorphins going. And I know, because of what I've written the night before, I know what I have to do first, and I prioritize. I do the things that I don't really want to do, but they're the things I need to do because they're going to take up most of my energy. I get those out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's how I sort of start my day.
Love that. Love it. That's amazing. I'm glad you're still doing a bit of working out because, muscle mass, as we get older, we lose,
Oh,
don't we?
have to.
And it's
Yeah.
got to, yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing that you still do that.
Yeah.
Incredible. What
The-
about,
the-
is nutrition important to you too?
oh, yeah, very much. So, healthy dose of supplements.
Hmm.
I try to avoid as much sugar as I possibly can.
Yes,
I
me
eat
too.
I eat mostly steak, lamb, fish, vegetables. Not a lot of bread. I don't.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of water. Drink green tea. So I keep my diet pretty trim, like pretty regiment. I mean, of course, every now and again I'll have a burger or something
Yeah.
like that. But for the most part, particularly during the week, I try to make sure that my diet is pretty much sound. And I sauna 3 days a week.
Yes.
Love
Beautiful.
love the sauna. So between 3 and 4, in my local fitness center, I'm in the sauna for 30-35 minutes. It just detoxes, feels good. When I'm brave, I'll jump into the cold plunge. But other than that, it's definitely the sauna.
I love it. I do cold plunges every morning.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Look, it's getting a bit warmer here now. So in the winter, it's cold and the ground's cold. So I just use my spa outside and I just don't heat it.
Yeah.
And the water gets to about 5. But in the summer, the water sits about 20 and I need it below 12. So I just jump in the cold shower usually. But I'd love to invest in one of those cold plunges, but they're like 4 grand.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
can't.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
expensive. But I'm going to pay. I've got a sauna 5 minutes away from
Oh,
my
yeah.
place.
They're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they close a bit early. So as they get busy, I'm hoping they extend themselves. But I'm going to pay like an annual subscription and start going there. And I've been doing it once a week, but I'd love to do it every
Oh,
night. But
yeah.
yeah, that helps the sleep, doesn't it, as
Oh,
well?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
3 days a week, man. It just does wonder for your skin, your circulation.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So with all of that in mind, I feel like we've summed up how you're leading your own way. But this realization, everything we've kind of just discussed, doesn't come easily. I do feel we have to go through things, don't we? And you mentioned at the beginning part of your journey of where you began growing up in South Central. Let's go back to your childhood in South Central then, and where life began, because it was I mean, I knew that part of your journey already, but as I mentioned before in the pre-chat, when we do discuss, I don't want to know too much because I want my reactions to be authentic. But even when you said at the beginning of this episode, my heart, like it pulls it, doesn't it? It's quite, you can't imagine. I can't imagine what you've been through. You mentioned that your parents gave you up due to the bone disease that you were born. Was you born with the bone disease?
Yeah. Yeah. So
What's it called?
always good slatters.
Wow.
So I had these big, protruding little spurs around my knees. The doctors pretty much knew that there was going to be major problems, and I guess when when I was adopted, um, at around 10, my parents actually told me the full story,
Yeah.
and they had these letters from my biological parents who had knew where I was and gave a pseudo explanation for why they did what they did. No return address, so you couldn't write back or anything. And in it, my parents let me know that my dad was playing baseball somewhere and didn't want to have a child. Basically, he just wanted to focus on baseball, and I was going to be a burden. So uh, that's why so my whole life, my biological parents actually knew where I was the whole time. And there'd be times when I would be on a bus or somewhere and I'd see someone who was tall, maybe looked like me, and I would actually want to go over to this person and say, "Hey, are you my dad?" Like it was, and because my parents who adopted me, they were in their late 40s when they adopted me. So by the time I got to junior high and high school, all the kids were like, "Why are your grandparents bringing you to school or at the games? Where's your mom and your dad?" So it was, and kids could be cruel, and
Yeah.
particularly back then, yeah, it was pretty tough for me to, and I didn't want to tell anybody. It was like my little dirty little secret, and I felt like the weight of the world. And I got to the point where I was ashamed of them to come around because they were so old. It broke my heart because I know they loved me, but I was ashamed that they were there because everybody else's parents were so young, and sometimes their dads would get on the court and run around, and my dad couldn't. Like it was just one of those things where I always felt like I was an outsider, you know, looking in, and like I was never going to be the one on the inside. So it was pretty tough. And at a very early age, I my cousin and I had played a basketball game, and we went to this place called Golden Bird Chicken, and my dad was buying dinner for us because we just played a basketball game, and we were standing outside, and we were so happy because we won the game. And the police came up to us and pulled out their guns and threw us on the ground, and basically it was like, what are you guys doing? You trying to rob the place? And my father ran out and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Those are my boys." And then they picked us up, and my dad said, "Hey, they just won a basketball game. They're going to go to college." And the police just looked at him and started laughing, and said, "They're never going anywhere. Like, they're going to they're going to be hoodlums. They're going to be druggies. They're going to be gangsters." And my dad cried because he felt that he was doing everything he possibly could to give us a night to celebrate what we have just done. And now the police are telling us that we're wasting our time. And that's always stood in my mind as there will always be someone, whether it's the police, whether it's a coach, a teacher, an employer, or whatever, will never ever see the goodness and the greatness of you. You're going to be judged. There'll be a perception against you. And I thought, if I ever got into a position where I had some influence as a coach or as a teacher or whatever, I was always going to lift people up despite their race, their religion, no matter what's going on with them. I'm always choosing to look at the best of them. And so that's another reason why when I look at my life, I think, man, I came this close to never getting out.
Yeah.
Ever.
South Central's a pretty tough place to grow up, isn't it? Wow, what a start to Eric's story, right? Yeah, well, from the basketball courts with legends to confronting those deep-seated abandonment issues, this bloke, Eric, has been through it. You can hear the pain, but you can also hear the strength. Big time. In part 2, we're going deeper. We're talking about how those early experiences shaped his relationships, his career, and ultimately how he's learned to lead his own way. If you're loving the conversation so far, but make sure you hit subscribe, follow the show, leave us a review, and share with anyone, someone who needs to hear it. Eric's just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. And what comes next in part 2? Come back for then, and don't forget Tuesday Truths, but part 2 will be dropping Wednesday. If it's after Wednesday, everything's already there for you. Anyway, we'll see you then. Take care for now. Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.